almost 5 years ago now, I took a gamble on something that I wasn't sure was going to really turn out too well. It was something that I wasn't sure if I really wanted to do, but I was really influenced and captivated in doing so, that I went ahead and did it anyways, and I've been doing it ever since. And that is doing reviews. And the first ever review I ever did was that of Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super was the show that I was watching at the time and captivated me enough to go ahead and start doing a review series of just me watching the show and talking about it and talking about the episode on a week-to-week basis. This is what I've been doing for the past couple of years now for a couple of different shows like My Hero Academia, a little bit of Demon Slayer when that was still airing and before they went ahead and did like the whole movie. And what I've been doing for like the past like 4 years with Boruto. This was something I wasn't really sure was going to really turn out into a video series that I was going to be really wanting to do. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it up as much as I was, but I went ahead and made the first video, which as I look at it has been almost 5 years since I made it. I was like 16 years old. I was watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I wasn't sure if I really wanted to start talking about Dragon Ball Super, but I went ahead and started watching it. I caught back up with everybody else within the first 56 episodes of the show. Something just kind of clicked in my head, and I said, I want to talk about this. So I made the video. Here we are today, still talking about different anime, and as well as a couple other things, but Dragon Ball was the first anime that I ever reviewed on the channel. And a lot of stuff has happened since then, since almost like 5 years ago. And it's mostly my opinions about Dragon Ball Super as it is right now. With everything being done, with Dragon Ball Super Broly being out, and all this other stuff. My opinions about Dragon Ball Super during the first 56 episodes has significantly changed since my first impression. Most of it is actually kind of the same, but there are stuff that I actually genuinely, not really agree with anymore. And I don't think it's a very good video, but it is also still kind of very important to me because it captivates all of my, or captures all of my thoughts with what my opinions were at the time with the show, and I really wanted to get that out there, and I'm glad that I have the video up and it's still up and you can go see it. But there are a couple of moments that I find very, very cringy nowadays. And I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm not gonna say it. I think it's Samusa. Like I said, most of the stuff I actually agree with, but there are some stuff I actually disagree with now that I'm looking back at the video. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I really wanted to go ahead and just redo this first ever video review that I ever did, or my first impressions, I guess you can call it, for Dragon Ball Super. And let's go ahead and talk about the first 2 arcs and how it's basically just the retelling of the movies. If you saw Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, then you pretty much saw the first 2 arcs. Yeah, there are certain stuff and imagery and certain parts of certain episodes that offer a lot more than what they did in the movie. But considering that Battle of Gods was my favorite Dragon Ball movie to ever come out, a lot of people would say Dragon Ball Super Broly, but I think there's one big key thing about Dragon Ball Super Broly that kind of holds it back a little bit in my mind, and it's mostly the plot of the story and the fact that there's not really a plot to it in DBS Broly. DBZ Battle of Gods had everything that it needed to. It had a good score, good animation, a good story, and expands the universe of Dragon Ball Super. And I really like that. I really like how Battle of Gods expanded upon that even more so. And the first 2 arcs are basically just the retellings of the 2 movies, Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. And as we all know, and as time has progressed forward, Dragon Ball Super didn't have the best production ever, pretty much. It actually had a very rough production schedule, and episodes weren't able to get developed and animated on a proper schedule, and so they had to rush things. And so in terms of animation, stuff is obviously not aged very well, and it all looks very bad. And the art style is debatable. If you want to say that you like it, you can go ahead and do so. But if you look at what Dragon Ball Super Broly has done in that art style, it looks fantastic. Everything about the characters and the way that they're designed, it looks amazing. It's amplified even more so because of the animation and the characters and the fluidity of it all. It takes a while for Dragon Ball Super to really do something to the scale of it, maybe even being in comparison to that, but not even close, really. Not until the Tournament of Power, at least. So even though there's a lot of things to be offered within the first 2 arcs of Dragon Ball Super, I feel like it's still not really worth the time investment to watch the first 2 arcs. I only redid it and redid so because it had been such a long time since I've seen both, and it's not as bad as I really remember it, especially Resurrection F, because it's actually shorter than I was remembering it to be. But I think I would still watch the movie instead of just rewatching the show. You should probably go ahead and still watch the show anyways and watch it be animated within be televised on a week-to-week basis, and go ahead and do that. But I enjoyed watching the movie more than I did watching it in the show. The next thing that they did, though, was the whole tournament thing with Universe 6 and 7, and I found some things that I liked about it now rather than what I did before. And it's mostly regarding around some of the characters. There are moments where stuff is obviously very well animated and characters have some specific moments. And I mentioned in my previous video with Majin Buu that I was very disappointed with how Majin Buu kind of just like fell asleep and didn't really do anything, so that was really lame. And some of the characters I really want to talk about are those of Universe 6, and the fact that we're expanding the universe and the lore of Dragon Ball Super and the Dragon Ball universe as a whole, and I really like that, but by introducing these characters. But the Universe 6 characters that they show off are only mildly interesting. There are only really two that people really give a shit about, and it's Hit and Kaba. Hit just because he has like this super cool finale with Goku where he goes, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and, Hit has this super cool ability that we haven't seen since pretty much the Frieza saga, which happened like fucking decades ago, and, with being able to stop time, and he's this assassin guy who fucking hits people's pressure points, like assassination kill points and stuff like that, and it's super fucking cool. He's just a super cool character with the concepts that he's been given, but he doesn't really have a character or a personality, other than just being very similar to Goku and Vegeta, where he wants to improve and get stronger, but that's about it. He doesn't really have anything else other to that. He's just a guy who goes out and kills people for money and just does a job, which you don't really need anything else other than that, especially with the context of what we're given for and why he's introduced to be the way he is. Because he's supposed to be a guy who's insanely strong in comparison to Goku and Vegeta, and the way that he manhandles Vegeta was super cool, and his fight against Goku was also really cool. But he doesn't really have a character that's worth getting invested into other than just looking really cool and being really cool. That's about it. Kaba has his cool moments, and he's way different than any of the other Saiyans that we've seen before, but he actually has somewhat of a personality, and there was a lot more that I really liked about Kaba this time around, and it just made me really want to see more of the Universe 6 Saiyans and see more with not only him, but also Kale and Caulifla. I really want to see more of what the Universe 6 Saiyans are like and just see them improve and develop more as they spend more time with the Universe 7 Saiyans in comparison with how different they are. I think it'd be very interesting, and there's a reason why during the Tournament of Power, people were really hoping that when the show is continuing on further after the Tournament of Power, people were going to see them do a whole Universe 6 saga or arc and see them go to Planet Adala in Universe 6. We thought it would be really cool, but of course that never ended up happening. We ended up getting Dragon Ball Super Broly, and we haven't gotten anything else because Dragon Ball Super hasn't come back yet. That's pretty much it for the Universe 6 characters. Frost, I liked Frost at first because I liked how different he was in comparison to Frieza while still looking like Frieza and sounding like Frieza, but then he just becomes a fucking, like, bad guy, and not even a good one, and you just instantly forget about him, and you never want to think about him ever again. He comes back in the TOP, but then he gets fucking beaten up by Frieza and then loses. I didn't even mention Botama and Megetta in my first video. I didn't even mention Botama and Megetta in my first video for a very obvious good reason, because they're very fucking bland and boring. Botama is just this giant fucking Winnie the Pooh looking ass bear who fucking loses to Goku without even trying. And then Megetta was a lot more memorable because of his character design in his fight against Vegeta. But that's about it. He doesn't really get anything else. He doesn't really have that much of a personality. I shouldn't say that. He has a little bit of a personality because the way that he speaks and the way that he does, you obviously see more of his personality in the fact that they're very sensitive, I think, is different for a Dragon Ball character, and I kind of like that. But he just gets fucking beaten by Vegeta, and then he gets beaten by, I think, Goku. I don't even remember how him and Botama lost in the Tournament of Power. That's how fucking forgettable that they are. The only thing I remember them doing in the TOP was combining together, and I only remember that because of the fucking card that exists within Dokkan Battle. That's the only reason why I remember them. But then we get into the next saga. We get into the next arc, and that's where Future Trunks shows up. I think Future Trunks, when he starts off, is super cool. Future Trunks, when he shows back up, and he's fighting against Goku Black without us knowing that it's Goku Black and he looks like Goku, I think it's super cool. I think, his outfit looks sick. I think his sword looks cool. The blue hair, even though it doesn't really make sense because he previously had, like, the purple hair, I think it still looks great. you know. I think it still looks really good on him. When he's in Super Saiyan, the way that his hair looks now, in comparison to before, I think it still looks really good. Trunks was just super cool, and when you first see him and you're wondering what the fuck is going on because you thought that he defeated the androids and now there's a new threat going on and he has to travel through time, and then you fucking see future Bulma die, and that was such a huge moment because it's a character that you don't really expect to see die. I was watching it, or rewatching it again, because I was like thinking, wait a minute, is this the first time we see Bulma die? And it's like, technically yes, this is the first time we see a version of Bulma die, but it's not the first time she's died, because she got killed by Majin Buu. By getting turned into chocolate and eaten. And then we see him go like back to the past where Goku and Vegeta are, and I really like the moment where he retaliates against Goku, because of course he fucking does, because imagine being in a type of scenario where you see the guy who has massacred so many people and you watch him fucking kill your mom and then potentially may have killed, I'm gonna go ahead and just say it, his fucking girlfriend, right in front of his eyes, and you're gonna see someone like him and want to retaliate back. You're gonna want to fucking swap some fucking hands or some shit. It's just how it happened. I thought that was a cool moment, and then we see him fight against Super Saiyan 3 Goku by seeing it the first time and not seeing anything like that before, and the sparring that he did with Vegeta when Vegeta went Super Saiyan Blue and surprised Trunks with that as well. Goku Black showing up in the past with the time ring and fighting Goku there, and then having to get sent back so he can go and awaken his Super Saiyan Rose transformation I thought was cool. And then watching him go and figure out who the fuck Goku Black is, because as we all know in retrospect, and as we already have seen everything about Dragon Ball Super, Goku Black is Zamasu. I forget a little bit of the finer details because it has been like 3 years since I've seen Dragon Ball Super since it ended. We all know that Goku Black is Zamasu, because Zamasu of a time in one of the timelines had swapped bodies with Goku, killed Goku, and then went to go pick up the actual Zamasu in Future Trunks' timeline. They teamed up and they went and go fucking killed everybody. I really liked how he's different from some other villains, because other villains like Majin Buu, kind of, but like Cell and Frieza, they're set up in their own minds and they think that they're hot shit. They think they're hot shit because they're constantly told so. In Frieza's case, there's never been anybody who's been close to his power. He knows of people who are close to his power, but you know, those are like godly beings, and Majin Buu wasn't even around at the time to be able to stand up against Frieza, so he didn't need to worry about him. But he didn't need to worry about Beerus because he's a godly being and he's probably not going to go after Frieza at all. And they think that they're hot shit. They think they're so fucking powerful and that no one else is going to be able to go against them. They're built up that way instead of Zamasu, where he was previously a Kai of Universe 10, and then was an apprentice of the Supreme Kai of Universe 10. He is already well established in his mind that he is a godly being. There is no reason for there to be a mortal who is nowhere even in comparison to him, right? Who's not anywhere near as strong as that of a godly being, such as the Supreme Kais, and has fought against the God of Destruction and then beats him. And it all stimulates from the fact that he immediately has doubts about those of mortal human beings. He has doubts, slight doubts, but he still has the pure heart because nothing has tainted him in his mindset and his philosophy of things. But then as soon as he meets Goku, all that changes. His doubts increase even more. He starts doubting mortals even more. He wants to take matters into his own hands of the roles that he's not supposed to be given, and this and that. And I like this like slow, you know, burn of hatred that starts to build, and it all starts from just one person, one being, and it's Goku. You can always say that Goku is always the root cause of all problems, but I like how it stimulates from something. It stimulates from the fact that that Goku shows up. He is so much more powerful than anybody would have expected. Any godly being in their right mind would have expected there to be a mortal to be. And he goes out of his way and just does what he needs to do in order to get the job done. And in episode 56, we see what happened after Goku had fought Goku Black for the first time in the past, and he unlocks Super Saiyan Rose. And I think Super Saiyan Rose clashes extremely well with that of Super Saiyan Blue. I have your own opinions about Super Saiyan Blue all you want, but I like the color clashing and contrast between that of Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan Rose. I think the colors really clash together with like the super white bluish colors of Super Saiyan Blue and the dark magenta purple pink colors of that as Super Saiyan Rose. I think it looks very, very good, and I really like seeing those colors clash together, and I think it makes Goku Black stand out even more so because of his all black and gray coloration of his clothing. I think it looks super good. That's basically my thoughts now with how I think about the first 56 episodes of Dragon Ball Super. This is what I think now about the show as it's been out for a little while. And I think my opinions have really developed over time, and I think I'm now a better reviewer than I ever been before, and it really is thanks to Dragon Ball Super being around and Dragon Ball being around in general for giving me this opportunity to really start thinking about stuff in a critical eye and really start noticing things that I really like and really dislike and notice errors whenever there are errors. I like watching a lot of stuff about this show. A lot of the imagery is super cool and really, really fucking good and imaginative, but of course, some of the execution of certain things is just not ultimately really done. A lot of things feel really slow, like the retelling of the first two arcs of the movies and the stuff with Universe 6 versus 7. And, even though some of that stuff is cool, it's kind of a slow burn and it's not really fast. And, comparison to what we've seen before and what we see even later on, it's slow. It feels like they're not really doing anything, and it starts to pick up around, the future Trunks saga stuff, and, that's really cool and all, but it still feels like it's a slow burn because then we have to see Goku and Vegeta lose a couple times only to go back and fight them again and all this other stuff. Trunks gets a fucking transformation and all this shit, and then we go to the Tournament Power where everything is in all full fucking swing, and a universe is starting to get fucking erased and shit, and everything really starts getting, way better, I want to say, when it gets to the Tournament of Power, because animation gets better, fights get better, and all this other stuff, but the problem with the Tournament of Power is that it's really fucking long. In comparison to the previous arcs that we got for Dragon Ball Super, it's super fucking long in comparison, and it's just like, you're wondering when it's going to finally end, and it drags on longer than it needs to, and some stuff obviously isn't executed very well, like I've said before, like the ending of the whole Goku Black stuff. That didn't really end in a way that was really satisfying, because all they had to do was just summon Zeno, and Zeno fucking deletes them all from existence, and it's just... there are a lot of problems with this show. I 100% agree with that, but part of me still kind of has a little bit of nostalgia for the show, just because it was like the first thing that I actually ever really truly reviewed, and it'll always stick by me in my mind being the first thing I really got to talk and speak my mind about, and really gave me an avenue to voice my opinions and make me realize that it's okay for me to be able to have my opinions and be able to share them. And that's why I continue to do this on today on a week-to-week basis with like stuff like Boruto. Because I like talking about stuff. I like voicing my opinions, and I couldn't be happier that Dragon Ball Super was the avenue that I needed in order to be able to do that. So that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to say. I really wanted to redo the video, almost 5 years since I've done it, and I'm pretty proud of where I've come by, and what I've done, and where I am right now. My life has changed significantly, in my personal life, of course, but even in my YouTube life, and it's really humbling. It very much is very humbling. So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and wrap up the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. For more videos just like this, I'll see you guys next one. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.